Hello. So today we will be tier ranking all of the Spanish language podcasts that I have listened to, at least that I remember enough about to talk about. I kind of can't believe that it's this few when I think about the whole history of my Spanish listening. We have our top category is We Stan. I love these podcasts. It's good. They're good. I like them. I would recommend them, even if it's not like something I have actively kept up with the whole time. It's still something I would say you should definitely check out. Listen is like, I wouldn't not recommend it. I wouldn't not pick it back up again, but it isn't like a strong recommend, whether it just didn't really stick with me or whatever the case might be. Dropped would be ones that I just lost interest in. And hate and loathing. Self-explanatory, I think. Let's just go in the order that they are here. Why not? So 333 is a short series that I think is kind of old, and I honestly don't even know how I ended up listening to this, but it's a Podium podcast, and so I probably found it on their app. And this is about like alternative culture, like paranormal or Satanists and stuff like that. And it was pretty entertaining. I would say I'll listen. I did finish the series, all that was out. It was only like 8 episodes, so I don't think it got like renewed, but it was fine. Radio Ambulante. Do we even need to ask? No. We stand Radio Ambulante. I have a whole series here talking about my favorite Radio Ambulante episodes as I very, very slowly listen to all of the back catalog of this series. I think it is just such an incredible podcast. It's the tagline or whatever is like telling stories of Latin America. There are transcripts for all of the episodes on their website, so even though this is quite a difficult podcast to listen to often, you can follow along with the transcript, so highly recommend. We have Afrochingonas, which is a podcast about being Afro-Latina in Mexico, and this is good. I did fall off of listening to it, to be honest, but I did really enjoy the topics that it talked about. I think I was in their Patreon for a while just to support. I definitely would check it out, and I would like to recheck it out myself. I think this might be the only one in this category. Arsénico, caviar, or something like that, is my hate and loathing podcast. So I listened to maybe 2 episodes of this or something, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna love this podcast. Like, this is so interesting. They talk about like culture, literature, pop culture, kind of different things like that. And then they had an episode about, for lack of a better way to describe it, like fake readers and people who like low culture, like low media, like Marvel or stuff like that. And it was the most blatantly elitist, just ridiculous thing that I'd ever heard. Dissing people right, left, center. I couldn't even believe that I wasn't listening to like a satire or something like that. Prompted me to write like a whole rant in response that I just to like practice my Spanish and get out my rage. Okay, so caso 63 is difficult because technically I dropped it. I dropped it in like towards the end of the 2nd season, but I would say that you should check it out potentially, so I'll put it in a listen, because obviously I did listen for quite some time. So this is a sci-fi, it's not like a non-fiction podcast, it's a fiction podcast, and it's telling this story of basically time travel and a mystery element, and so it's super interesting, but unfortunately I felt like they were dragging it out way too long. I was ceasing to care about the story because it was taking so long to reach any kind of resolution, and so I did end up stopping. But I think possibly if I had been earlier in my Spanish learning journey, I might have kept going for longer because it would have been more like exciting to be able to actually understand something, because it's not a very difficult podcast to understand as far as native media goes. So I would recommend it. This one is super random, but this is also a short series called, I can't really read the title here, but I'm pretty sure it was called Los Vestigios del Caso Sancho. And this is about a super famous, dramatic case that was happening when I first moved to Spain, where the son of a really famous actor here in Spain had allegedly murdered someone in Thailand, I believe. So the court case was in the middle of happening, and so I wanted to find out what was going on because I was seeing all of this news coverage and that sort of thing about it, but they weren't really discussing what had actually happened. And so, yeah, this would be I'll listen. It was fine, informative. Then we have Central, which is the mini-series branch of the Radio Ambulante studios. So they do short, in-depth things where they spend like 10 episodes or so on a specific topic. And I would definitely put this in. It's good. I think that they are great. You should check them out. We have Contra, Natura, which was a Vice mini-series that has been made in both English and Spanish. And this is about a case of basically a corporate crime that took place between the US and Colombia, perhaps. It's been a very long time since I listened to this. But yeah, also good. You should listen to it. We have Despertando and Durmiendo, two like twin podcasts that are just very short things that talk about waking up and going to sleep. And so they're very nice to listen to. I used to listen to them when I worked from home and I would do like a morning walk. I would listen to the Despertando podcast while I did that. Very nice. I would say it's good. It's not going to be, a huge amount of listening because they're only like 5 minutes each, but it's a nice habit to get into if that fits into your routine. Okay, one of the Wondery podcasts is The Crash of WeWork. This was a short series, I think, and I would say I'll listen. I think it was interesting in some level. I really like that kind of like, even though I'm not interested in business at all, I really like that kind of like scam, or the movie The Big Short, the podcast Swindled. I don't know, that kind of like white collar crime stuff for some reason does interest me. So that was a nice listen, I guess. Elemental. It's good. Really, really enjoy this series. It's about the environment and nature and that sort of thing. And it kind of tells stories related to that. It is from Colombia. Another Wondery podcast, and this one, both of these, I think maybe all of the Wondery ones exist in English as well, so that would be a good option if you're maybe a little bit newer to native content to be able to listen to it in English first. But this is El Psiquiatra de Lado. Again, a mini-series about this wild case of a psychiatrist who basically like brainwashed his client into letting him like take over his house, all kinds of wild things. So super interesting listen. I would put in it's good, definitely worth the listen. Same with En Boca Cerrada. This is telling the story of a music producer in Mexico who basically had like a cult that he had created of young women who were working for him, and he would con their families basically into allowing him to kidnap them, and it was super, super abusive and awful. And so this is one of the women telling the story much, much later. Super sad, but super interesting. Okay, so Entiende, mente. I was listening to religiously early when I was learning Spanish. Then it went Spotify exclusive and I stopped listening to it, but I don't think it is Spotify exclusive anymore. So I would put it in I'll listen. I did like it at the beginning. My cat has the zoomies. But, I haven't listened to it in literal years, so I have no idea what they're up to these days. but I did really like it, and I thought it was a pretty approachable native podcast for beginners. So, Another Wondery podcast, we have Guerras de Negocios. This one will do different rivalries entre negocios, like Coke versus Pepsi or whatever, Monster versus Red Bull, that sort of thing. It can be interesting. I would put it in It's Good. Again, not that interested in business, but sometimes there's drama. Normally there's drama because otherwise they wouldn't do that episode. So it's good. Okay, hoy hablamos. I think this is our only learner podcast on here. And I would say it's good. They do have a couple branches as well. They have the grammar podcast and they have the basic podcast, I think it's basic, yeah. It's good. Yeah, I would recommend it for if you want a learner podcast or a grammar podcast. It's not my favorite because it's just not that interesting to me. I don't love learner podcasts, but I do think it's a good choice. There are a bunch of other good ones as well. It's just that when I was at this stage, I hadn't built up my tolerance for learner material, so I was not listening to them. So, la historia jamás contada, also very good. This one would be borderline we stand, but I haven't re-listened to it, so I can't, guarantee that. But this is about basically history from like a feminine perspective, or like from the story that's never been told, and it was very, very good from what I remember. Malinfluencia is a Mexico podcast from Wondery as well. I'll put it in a listen. I did really enjoy this for a minute, and I would pick it back up again. It's not something I was obsessed with, but it's about people or stories of people who have like undue influence, who are like charismatic to a bad point or whatever, con men, that sort of thing. So it was entertaining. Okay, Master, super short series about this drama that happened with a politician in Spain who was found to have faked her master's degree, like fully paid off a university to say that she was in a master's program that she was not in. I would say I'll listen because I did finish it. I mean, it was a mini series, but it was entertaining. Nothing out of this world, but yeah. Relatos de la noche. This would have to go in dropped because technically I did drop it. Like, I don't have any reason for it. It's just that like I never picked it back up again. So yeah, it's about kind of spooky stories. I was listening to it for a while and then I just stopped. So clearly I wasn't obsessed with it, but I wouldn't say not to check it out. I don't know. We have regalan dudas. This is another one that I listened to very early in my Spanish learning, and this is also a dropped. I don't know why. I just completely lost interest. They talk about like mental health topics, different social things, but I just lost interest. Tu de ciencias y yo de letras is the podcast with Linguriosa and her friend whose channel or social media presence name I do not remember. But I did a Podimo free trial in order to listen to this podcast. So I listened to maybe like, 10 episodes or something, whatever was out at the time. It was entertaining, but to be honest, I kind of zoned out during the science portions like every single time. So I would put it in I'll listen because if it was free to access, I would probably still be tuning in. So, I would check it out, but I wasn't obsessed. Un libro, una hora is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It tells you the story of a book and kind of maybe some of the context of the book in 1 hour. I haven't been listening to this lately, but I might pick it up again because it's nice. I like it. It's good to either listen to ones about books that you have already read. That makes it obviously a lot easier. Or if it's a book that you always kind of felt like you should read, but you deep down know you're never actually going to read. So I've listened to multiple episodes like that, or again, about books that I have already read, and I really like it. I think it's good. Viene y va with, I think, Danny Schultz. This one has to be dropped too. I listened to this for a while and there's nothing wrong with it, like, to be clear. Again, all of these are just like I dropped it and I don't know why. I haven't had one yet that I was like I dropped for this reason. But I just lost interest. I didn't feel like she had a whole lot to say as I was like listening to more of them. But she is a very, very pleasant narrator, seems like a great person, super charismatic, super engaging. I just, lost interest. This one is something called like documentales sonoros or something like that. And so it's just the audio track from documentaries. And I really like it. I'll put it in, I'll listen. I still listen to this once in a while, especially if I have like a really long like bus ride or something like that. I will download a bunch of these because since they are like full-length documentaries, usually you don't have to be like paying full attention the whole time because you've got like 90 minutes to unwind this whole story. So I like it. Expertos de sillón. We stan. Even though I don't really listen to this anymore because it's off the air, and I do have some back episodes to listen to still, but mostly I have scrolled through and listened to the majority of the ones that seemed specifically interesting to me, but I do still sometimes go through and download some other ones and listen to them. So this is literally armchair experts, so people come on and talk to the hosts, who are, I think, both from Colombia, about their like special interest, basically. So they're not necessarily experts de verdad. They are just people who are really enthusiastic about something, and it can be like anything, literally. And I just really, really liked this podcast. I found this a great bridge between like advanced learner content and native content. It is for natives, but it's a little bit easier, I think, than a lot of native content. Sabor a queer. I haven't listened to this a ton, but I'll definitely put it in a listen because it's really good. I have listened to a couple episodes that had a specific guest that I really liked, and I think it's a good one. But again, I haven't listened to, dozens of episodes or anything like that. No hay negros en el Tibet. Stan. This is a Stan account. I love this podcast. I am a little bit behind, and I'm excited that I am behind because I can, it means there's always stuff to listen to. I have seen one of them live, and I would like to see the others live. They did a live filming of an episode in Barcelona, and I was so annoyed that I couldn't go. Yeah, this is a podcast basically about the experience of being Black in Spain, or any other kind of social issues related to that, or other social issues within Spain or elsewhere. But yeah, really, really like this podcast. They are hilarious and very insightful. Then finally, this is a weird one to end on, but Mujeres con las botas puestas. This is another one that is technically dropped, but I'm gonna put it in a listen because I only dropped it because I had already listened to all of the ones that I was specifically interested in, and so I will be keeping an eye on it. So it's telling the stories of different women with their boots on, like women who did interesting things, had active lives throughout history. And so there was like ones about the Bronte sisters, I think. It's an interesting podcast. So yeah, if you have recommendations based on these podcasts that you think I would like, or that you think other people might like, definitely leave them in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.